Segment 2, Gold and Black Live, joined by Ryne Smith. If you're a Purdue sports watcher, basketball fan, this person needs no introduction. Was a key player in a very successful period of Purdue basketball, 2009 to 2012. He's done some coaching gigs and now is back with the John Purdue Club and Purdue for Life. Ryne, welcome to the show, and we appreciate your time.
No, thanks for having me. It's exciting to be back for sure.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit about how that all came to pass in terms of you had some coaching stints and certainly you are a basketball guy from a basketball family with your et cetera. But to talk about how this evolved into an opportunity at Purdue.
Yeah, so I think we talked about it a little bit before. I got 3 little ones at home, right? So I got 7, 5, and 2-year-old, and my wife and I were bouncing around some spots. We spent some time in Oxford, Ohio, at Miami University. Some time in San Antonio, Texas, at University of the Incarnate Word, and then the last 3 years were at Mercer. So a lot of moving in the last 7 years, right? So it was time for me to settle down, right? So this opportunity came available to get back into West Lafayette, where my wife is from, and it was just too good to pass up. I think the leadership here in our office has been incredible, and it was the right move for me to settle in and want to be somewhere for a long period of time. And Purdue is definitely a place to do that.
Well, it's interesting in coaches, and you live that life. It's a great life, but it is a tough life for families, and it doesn't make anybody it's good or bad. It's just a challenge. I mean, when you're moving around and you work with people that from Greg Gary to Carson Cunningham on down the line, and Jack Owens, right? So all guys you knew and respected, and great people, but certainly that makes for a big challenge when you have to make that type of decision.
Yeah, there's no question. And I think that the competitive part of it for me is something that I think I'll miss. But at the same time, like being in this office, I want to be competitive and use that to our advantage here in the John Purdue Club, just to make Purdue great. And I think that if I was going to go into administration anywhere, it was going to be Purdue. And I've been really happy with the decision. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, good for you. And you've had a chance to watch. And I know you watched extremely closely. You could be on the sidelines with them too. But the Matt Painter's team, tough loss. I guess you'd call that a tough loss, though it was. When you go back and look at it critically, Marquette had the upper hand on Purdue for the first time, and anybody had the upper hand on Purdue in a non-conference game in 40 games. But just talk about what you see from this young team, or young teams in some ways, and obviously experience in other. But what do you see from Matt's 24-25 team? What do you like?
Well, I love it all, to be honest with you. Like you return 3 starters off a national championship run, 2 key contributors. You add 3. I guess more than that, 3 new guys and freshmen. But it's exciting. I think that flying under the radar with all of that being said is a little bit crazy to me. But I think that's where we're at, and I think we like being there as well. I think it's great. Like you said, the loss on Tuesday night was tough. I don't think we played well, but I think a lot of that was attributed to how well Marquette played. I think they were really good. I think they are really good, well coached. But the game on last Friday at the Alabama, I think, proved a lot. I think we showed that we can play, as hard as anybody in the country, and that leads to playing as well as anybody in the country to beat anybody. So that was a special night for me, just being back. And even more special, I think they introduced Antoine West, who's from my high school, Toledo Whitmer. So it was a full circle moment for me. Like they introduced him. He kind of pulled his shirt open, said Purdue. The place went crazy. And I was almost choked up in tears, just emotional, how happy I was to see him back. And again, like I said, a full circle moment. So to circle back around to your original question, I think we're going to be right there at the top of the league. I think anytime you got Matt Painter running the show, you're going to have success.
Yeah. Hey, have you had a chance to see Antoine play much, or what? Tell us a little bit about him. Obviously, a guard that Matt, a little bit maybe under the radar in some ways from a recruiting standpoint. You can relate to that as much as anybody back in your day. But talk about what you know about him, and a high quality young man is everything we understand.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. I think playing for a guy like Anthony Stacy at Whitmer, in a program that's I guess not to toot our own horn at all, has had success. Has put out a lot of really good players. Nigel Hayes, Floyd Campbell, those guys. Antoine West is going to be a guy that's going to come in. He's going to know how to play. He's going to know how to play hard. I think he's seen that firsthand being at the game on Friday night. With the place the way it is at Mackey. So I'm excited about it. He's, like you said, he's going to be a great kid. He's going to represent the university well. And on top of that, be a great player.
You know, you were kind of the formula that Matt Painter has developed, continued to develop, and in terms of a guy that could come in, could shoot, knew basketball, and would be a good teammate, and that has continued to be from the guys that he's recruited for the most part through his entire tenure at Purdue. But you know, what is that like? You know, in terms of you obviously from a coaching family, and that ability to get that chemistry together. It seems to me to be it is the secret sauce of Matt Painter and company. There's talent there without question, and I'm not saying Ryne Smith wasn't talented. Ryne Smith was talented, but but it is a formula that is really unique in college basketball.
Yeah, I was going to bust your chops there a little bit, saying that's just a nice way of saying you're not very good. But no, I kid.
Right.
No, I certainly kid. It's great. It's great to be a part of this family, part of this culture. But I think the biggest thing when you say like a team guy, I think that's the biggest part. Being selfless, selling yourself to the team, selling yourself to Purdue, knowing that Purdue on the front of the jersey is much more important than what it says on the back, and being a star in your role. You know, that's obviously something that's very prevalent in this program. That's why it's had so much success, because you've had guys, you know, countless guys down the line that have probably taken a back seat to a star. I think Trey Kaufman-Renn is a huge example of that right now, and you're going to see him take that next step forward this year. Just because, not that he took a step back with Zach, but man, like, you got the 2-time National Player of the Year on your team. Like, let's play through him. Like, that sounds like a good plan. And then, you know, you're going to take a next step this year. So that family atmosphere, that, you know, selling yourself to the program is definitely what's shown, and I guess what's given our you know, Purdue basketball program success.
Yeah, great friend and teammate Rob Hummel talks about how some certain things were different in the first iteration of Matt Painter 1.0. I guess you'd say that to some extent. Basketball was a little bit different the way you played, and not to mention just your shorts that went to your knees. Other than that, you guys did a lot. I mean, tell us how it has changed, because there's a lot of things that seem to me to be a lot the same in terms of effort, obviously, and those kind of things. But from a schematic standpoint, how much different is the game from 2009 to 12 to 2020 to 24?
Yeah, I think the effort and the attitude is going to remain constant in a Matt Painter program. There's no question about that, like you said. But I think with the rule changes, like I think you saw guys like Lewis Jackson, Keaton Grant, even Etuan. Chris Kramer's obviously the guy who would absolutely hound dog the guy with the basketball.
Yeah.
And you could hand check, you could be super physical with that. The rules have changed a little bit in that, where you can't do that as much. And I think it helped us, you know, back in 2000, 10, 11, whatever, that you could do that. And if you got blown by trying to pressure your guy, you know, you had Juwan Johnson back there that could block shots. So it really helped us. Now I think with the rule changes, that they call it a little bit tighter. And then just to get a little bit more offensively, Coach Painter has grown as a coach, where we were running a lot of motion offense.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in, and that was really successful for us, and it worked. Now he's kind of catered to the recruiting, to where you're recruiting guys who have such a high IQ that you can have 300 to 400 plays in your playbook with wrinkles and crazy stuff off of all of those plays. And that has worked for us. And I think that the coaching staff has done such a fantastic job, you know, PJ Thompson included, with the scouting report on what teams are going to run. And I think that with the less hand checking and less and the more calls that you're getting out on the perimeter, that you've got to adjust to that and be able to score more. And I think we've done just a fantastic job of that. I think you've seen the numbers. You know, I think the numbers are there that prove that.
Yeah. It helps to have a point guard like Ryne Smith, though you played with Lewis Jackson, a terrific one as well, and to some extent maybe Chris Kramer too in that realm. I've always they were different in terms of different styles of point guards, but boy, two terrific players. All right, you look at you went through that as a freshman also of not playing as much, having to work your way into the lineup. Raleigh Burgess and others, it takes time to do that. Even Miles Colvin as a sophomore, still trying and doing now. It's clear he's doing the things that, from a defensive standpoint, that Matt Painter wants. He'll make shots. He struggled a little bit last couple, 2 games ago. He didn't attempt a shot against Alabama, which was really impressive, the game he had. But just talk about that and that ability of what Matt Painter, how he develops guys and guys that he knows will help him down the road, but have to wait their turn to some extent, as you did back in 2009.
Yeah, it's a really difficult thing to do, coming in as a star from your high school team to a guy that's entering a room full of guys that are talented or more talented and have more experience than. And I can tell you for sure, like my first individual workout here at Purdue, I was with Chris Kramer and Lewis Jackson. It was just the 3 of us in the workout, and we played one-on-one at the end. And I don't think I got a dribble off, let alone a shot off in playing against these guys one-on-one. And I'm leaving the workout saying, man, I'm never going to play here. This was the wrong. I made the mistake, but I think sticking with it and playing against guys that are better than you in practice, even if you're not getting minutes, is so important to not only the program but yourself as your growth as a player. Because eventually, if you work hard against those guys who are better than you, who are getting minutes, and you're not, it's going to work out for you. Right, you're going to have a championship. You're going to have, you're going to get minutes. You're going to have success on the court. So if the guy like Raleigh, and even Miles, like if you're working your tail off in practice and going at the guys, and you're like a guy like, your guy like C.J. Cox, you're going at Ryne Smith's head every day in practice. Eventually, it's going to work out, right? And you're going to have success, like I said. So it's a really difficult thing to do, but if you can do it, and I think we've had guys in this program that have proven they can do it. That's why you're seeing the growth of the program take a step every single year, and where we got to last year. Because even a guy like Zach, who played behind Travion for a couple of years, maybe even a year, whatever have you. But it's when it works out for you, it's that much more gratifying and special for you and the team.
And the one of the messages that Matt Painter constantly talks about. He talked about it post game in the press conference after the Marquette game, just praising Marquette for having a program. I think he was really telling people about his as well indirectly. Matt has a way of messaging. Sometimes there's always a reason behind what he says, in my opinion. However, he did talk about the notion that, Marquette is a team that's built on guys that stay. Cam Jones is an example. Guys that have hung in there, have stayed the course, and now, they're going to reap. This is a team that's an Elite 8 level team, in my view. Marquette and Purdue may be at the end of the day. We'll find out. But that's an impressive message, and certainly that formula, even in today's world of the transfer portal and NIL, it's an interesting formula. That's what made Tuesday night's game, despite the result, really interesting in terms of those 2 styles and 2 approaches by 2 coaches that are different, but they have a lot of respect for one another.
Yeah, especially in today's with the transfer portal. I think Tom Izzo said it, not to reference him on this podcast, and being
that's all right. He's another one. So.
I think he made a great point when he said kids are gonna learn how to not learn how to fail. I think learning how to fail is so important, especially in an area where if you're a freshman somewhere and you're not getting the minutes you want or whatever, you can just enter the transfer portal and go somewhere else. Well, back in 10, 12 years ago, you couldn't do that, or you had to figure it out, or else you were sitting out a year, which no one wanted to do. So to have those 2 programs go up against each other, it was great, and I think we've done that past couple of years against them. And I something just tells me we're going to see them again down the line somewhere. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, they're absolutely there. There is, and you obviously, and not one of your happier moments, had a first experience with Shaka Smart back in the days of VCU and the NCAA tournament. But I like the way his teams play, and boy, they play hard and they play connected. And that was what we saw so much on Tuesday night. And makes it even more impressive, though, if you think about Purdue, and it's been documented, but the fact that Purdue has beaten Marquette the last 2 years, and beaten Villanova, and beaten North Carolina, beaten Duke, beaten Gonzaga, one of the best programs in the country, 3 times now, right? So that just makes it even more amazing.
Yeah, I think that maybe Rob Hummel, he was talking about, he said, you know, we got to get better. And I think that's a referencing on one of the telecasts that he was like, I think when he was a freshman, maybe even when he was a senior in high school, Purdue beat Virginia at home in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. It was like, oh wow, we beat a top 25 team, which is great at the time. But now you look at all the teams that we're beating consistently. It's just where the program has gone. I think there's a lot attributed to coach. Like it's pretty special.
All right, your day job with John Purdue Club, to talk about that a little bit and some of the challenges. Obviously Purdue football is not having the season it wants. I'm sure you get questions from fans and donors on that. But how's the approach been? And you're a positive guy, so what's the message to donors in this challenging time in the world of Purdue football?
Right. It's man, the landscape of college athletics as a whole has changed so much in the last 4 or 5 years. I don't think there's a better school in the country that's positioned for that than Purdue is. I think our leadership is fantastic. I think we're heading in the right direction. Obviously, we've had our struggles. I'm a competitive guy. I wouldn't work in college athletics if I wasn't. We want to be great. We want to be part of the solution, right? So that's just what we're working towards every day. Like the things are certainly could be better. We want to win games. I think we're going to eventually. I would say a message to everybody would be, man, don't jump off now, because when we are, back in a great position, and you're going to want to get back on. I think that's the competitor in me saying that. But you said it. I'm a positive guy. I'm always going to try to work for a solution. So that's just what we're doing here every day, and that's what the people in our office are doing. Our leader Tim House is going to do that as well. So like I said, don't jump off. Don't jump off. We're going to be back. I promise you that.
All right. Those 3 children of yours, talk about their ages. And are you going to be the youth coach down the road? Tell us. And I don't know. And your oldest, maybe you're almost to that level yet. So tell us a little bit about them. And
so my older 2 right now are daughters. So I have a 5 and 7-year-old daughter. And then my son is 2, and my son, he's a handful. But my 2 older daughters, they're getting close to the age where they love volleyball. Brought my oldest to a volleyball game. They love, Raven Colvin. They love Chacoin. They love those players right there. So they're kind of falling in love with it. But the youth coach, I don't know. My older daughters are probably going to make me pull my hair out at some point without sports. So we'll see how that goes. I might have to pass it along to someone else. But my son loves Mackey Arena, and his trigger, like when I pick him up from daycare, is like, "Are we going to Mackey? Like, we're not going to Mackey. What the hell are we doing? We're not going tonight." I'm like, "Hey man, it's not game night." But he's fallen in love with it too. So it's very, very cool for me. I brought him to the Grand Valley State game. They were eyes lit up when the team run out of the tunnel. So it's pretty special for me. I get a little emotional thinking about it, just because I know how special it was me running out on the court and playing there. So it's very, very cool that they get a firsthand experience and be able to be around it as much as they are. So that's very special for me.
Yeah, you're a Toledo guy. Toledo coming to Purdue on December 29th. A lot of great athletes and some good basketball and football teams, obviously, from that area. Some Purdue greats, Ryne Smith, but Todd Mitchell on down the line have been proud to call Toledo home. All right, we appreciate your time so much, Ryne, and I'll say on a personal level, glad to have you back in town, because you're a great influence on a lot of people, and like you said, the kids. I don't know if I envy being a volleyball parents down the road. We'll see where life goes. That's a whole nother bag of tricks. But great program with Dave Shondell, and a great so in the Lafayette area, they have a great volleyball program for youth. So I'm sure you'll find a way for them to.
We've been to Boiler Juniors, and I swear if I'm sitting in the gym all weekend, I'm definitely blaming Coach Shondell. He's going to be the first on my list to call and blame. But no, I'm joking around. But it's very cool to have them around the great players and the great coaching and the culture of what they got going on.
Yeah, not a better guy in the world to blow some smoke to than Dave Shondell. He deserves everything.
No doubt.
All right, we will stay tuned. In 2 minutes, we'll have somebody that Brian and I both know well. Brian Newbert will join us. We'll talk some more basketball, look ahead to Purdue's game against Marshall on Saturday, and that trip to San Diego next week when Purdue takes on North Carolina State, and is it BYU and Ole Miss on the backside as well. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Basketball is a story, right? It goes on. It doesn't all get ended, and that's the fun part of it. It's the story of a season, and we'll sit back and watch it all develop. Ryan, have a great rest of your day, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Appreciate it.
Yep,
Thanks, Al.